So welcome to session 2 of Pop Open Mic. So glad that all of you joined us and are rejoined together to have this event. And what we'll do is I will call out your name. I'll do it in the order that you signed on. And then I want you to introduce yourself. You can tell a little bit about yourself, even personal stuff. You don't need just to say, I'm a poet, I've been writing for 10 years or whatever. If you want to divulge anything about yourself, maybe something you like or whatever it is you want to share, you're welcome to do that as well. Everybody can please put your comments, if you have any, in the chat box, and we will get a transcript of that later on, as well as the video. And so what we'll do is I'll call out your name. Everybody will keep their themselves muted until you're ready and you're up and I call your name. And initially, you'll introduce yourself, say one poem, and then we'll go on to the next person, okay? So last event, we had time for 3 rounds. And then I did something spur of the moment. I thought I had a great idea. I'm not so sure it is a great idea, but we're going to try it here too, maybe if we have time. But that's what we'll do. So in case people don't know me, I'm Annette Tarpley. I'm the founder of The Passion of Poetry. This will mark the end of this month. It will mark the 2-year anniversary of The Passion of Poetry, which I started simply because someone ticked me off somewhere. They said something nasty. And I thought, I'll start my own group and it'll be positive. And we will say encouraging words to each other and help each other grow. So that's why I started The Passion of Poetry. If you ever see anybody say anything negative in my forum, please tell me or one of the other administrators. Usually they get booted because I have no tolerance for negative. I don't know how you all were when you're growing up, but my parents used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, kind of thing. So not that there isn't some room sometimes for productive criticism, but sometimes it's in how you do it. So anyway, that's how The Passion of Poetry started. And as most of you probably know, we have lots of events and different things that we do. One day soon, I'll have the anthology done soon. And then I'll also have the website done that I've been working on for months. Thought it was done at one time. I had to hire somebody else. So hopefully that will be up and we can get many of you published on the website as well. So that's the standalone website. But welcome to the Pop Open Mic. To those of you who are new, welcome. To those of you who are old hat and you're back again. Why? No, I'm just kidding. Apparently you liked it the first time, so you came back. So welcome. We're going to start first with Kathy Jo Blake-Bryant. If you will unmute yourself. Kathy Jo has been a long time supporter of Pop and used to be one of our admin and is still there in a great way. Hi, Kathy. You go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I am. Well, Annette, since you already introduced me a little bit, I have arrived at being the author of 2 published books, which I'm excited about. Golden Glowing Mushroom and Favorite Things in My World, which is a child's picture poetry book. My first poem is, what is it about a tree? What is it about a tree that profoundly speaks to me? Reaching up to heaven's sphere, yet reaching down to bless me here. Its canopy I rest beneath and listen to each rustling leaf. Zephyrs gently move with grace down here in this amazing place. Sweet carols of the birds I hear, echoing in my welcome ear. My heart and soul is for the tree. May this deep love extend to thee.
Thank you, Kathy. That was beautiful as always.
Thank you.
Now, do you do what I know? Jill sometimes does songs and sings those. Do you ever do that? Because Kathy has a good singing voice.
Are you talking to me, Annette?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not prepared right now, but on one of your podcasts, I did sing one.
I know that. So think about it as we're rounding. You might gain the courage and so forth. It might break things up a little bit. You have a beautiful singing voice.
I thank you, honey.
And you told me you could teach me someday, but I doubt that.
Yes.
Thank you,
Well, I
Kathy.
don't. You're welcome, Annette.
Next up, we have Gopal. Sir, if you want to unmute yourself, you are next.
Is it me?
Yes. How do you pronounce your name?
Gopal Sinha.
Gopal. So I will unfortunately do this all day long because I can't even say American names sometimes. If it's not Smith or Jones, I don't do it. So I'm trying to turn my phone on. So what I've been doing, my last one, is I'd call on you and then I'd show a picture of your profile picture on this so you know it's you in case I mispronounce. But it is you, sir. Go ahead and introduce you and tell us about you and recite your first poem.
First of all, let me bow before my mother, my motherland, and my mother tongue. Then my namaskar and respectful greetings to all of you. This is Gopal Sinha from India. I'm a retired civil engineer, but I keep spending my time in writing both in Hindi and English for various journals and literary platforms, and I have been published many times. I don't remember how many times, where, and why. So I am going to read a few poems written by me. The first one has a caption, War is not a solution. War is not a solution. So here I begin. Let us be more humane. Let us be more humane and realize war is a curse, bane. And realize war is a curse, bane to be avoided at any cost, as it always extracts a heavy cost in terms of values, innocent lives, public properties. One may connive. One may connive. Sabotage, killings, brutality. Sabotage, killings, brutality. Always, truth is the first casualty. Sabotage, killings, brutality. Always, truth is the first casualty. We should better evolve. War hardly ever solves any dispute, problem, only suppresses, suspends them for a while, leaving deep scars. Vanquished have a feeling they were not treated at par. They were not treated at par, maybe preparing the ground for yet inconsequential war. Cooperate with each other and peacefully coexist. Ego, lust, jealousy, resist. Ego, lust, jealousy, resist. Discuss mutual problems. Jointly try to solve them. Fight natural calamities. Provide for basic necessities. Provide for basic necessities. Make a firm resolution. Make a firm resolution. Peace, not confrontation, offers lasting solutions. Peace, not confrontation, offers lasting solutions. Sometimes war is not a choice. Sometimes war is not a choice. It becomes a compulsion. How to avoid such a situation? How to avoid such a situation? It is for all really a big question. It is for all really a big question. When talks fail, gunpowder smells. When talks fail, gunpowder smells. Life of a nation becomes a hell. Life of a nation becomes a hell. Liberty, fraternity, equality. Liberty, fraternity, equality, rationality, humanity. Rationality, humanity are mere words, unless we put down our swords. Unless we put down our swords.
Wow, thank you for that. So much wisdom and insightfulness you gave us. So that's wonderful. A very humanitarian poem. Thank you very much, sir. It was wonderful. Thank you. And we can all learn from it, I'm sure. Next, we're going back to the United States to Dona McCormack. So glad to have you here, Donna. Glad that you're a part of Pop now. And Facebook. I think you're new to Facebook. So.
Yes, I used to be on Facebook and I rejoined so that I could join Pop. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here, Annette. I just want to say a couple of things before I start reading. I'm a disabled person, so I write a lot about disability. Poetry kind of brought me back to life along with the intense efforts of my doctors and myself. And actually the first piece I'm going to read for you is called Bitter Medicine. It's a piece I wrote for my doctor, Dr. Jha, who brought me back to life. And he's leaving, so I have to find a replacement for him, which is very, very difficult and challenging. And I appreciate everything he did for me. So this piece is called Bitter Medicine. So here we go. It was so easy to fear him at first, but he waited and waited through the swamp of my trauma until I heard the affirming touch of his medicine. He showed me how to tuck my chin and swallow bitter pills. He helped me discover a mirror that showed a me that could be whole, even was sometimes. His healing infused me with vinyl enough I can lie here and leak, but intact, merely cracked, not shattered, while he bids farewell, sets off into his sun-dappled future, and I remain in this same one window chamber. His sunlight paints my view yellow. It pleases me in a high, tight place where sadness can no longer reach. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was marvelous. That was marvelous.
Thank you, Annette.
Love that. Love that. And it's hard to find good practitioners and ones that listens to you and helps you. So
exactly. Yes, he was magnificent. He was a magnificent doctor.
Yeah, a lot of patients like me because I listen to them. Whatever their truth is their truth. So if they tell me that the sky is orange, I'll say, yeah, okay.
And being a psych patient and having a mood disorder, they're stacked, and that's a very challenging situation to deal with. And so having somebody that listens is critical to the treatment process. So yes, that's exactly right. You have to have somebody who hears what your reality is. And
I've done general medicine. I'm board certified in that, but I'm doing psychiatry right now. I've done 3 years of psychiatry in private practice, but I go to facility. But right now, this is just off the subject. I'm just going to say it real quick because I don't know if any of you in other countries know who Naomi Judd is, the singer who just died on her own hand. She had depression really bad. But I'm listening to her audiobook, and I was listening to it last night. She's been in and out of lots of medicines, doctors, hospitals, whatever. But I was listening to it last night, and she was in a hospital that was horrible. She didn't like it at all. And she kept wanting to escape. Well, this nurse went in and she brought in clothes for her. She brought in a lab coat, clothes, shoes, a ball cap. And she snuck her outside for an hour so she could have, a breath of fresh air. It was just this great moment where she was so thankful that somebody gave her that. That was, everything. So, yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. And I always tell my patients, we all have psych problems. It's just to what degree. So next we have Manas. Sir, you are up next if you would like to unmute yourself and please tell us about you.
Good evening, Annette, and all the poets from different parts of the globe. I find a few from my country. I'm happy, Annette. You have invited 3, 4 from India. Thank you. In fact, you are doing an excellent job in Passion of Poetry by taking these initiatives, which actually not only inspire poetry, but also encourage a brotherhood, sisterhood in the whole globe itself. So thank you for that. I'm happy that you have allowed me for the second time to participate in such a beautiful gathering. I am Manas Das from Cuttack, India. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a retired entrepreneur rather. I'm 68 plus. I live at Cuttack with my wife, and we both live together alone here. My son is in America, in North Carolina. He's doing a job with Bank of America as managing director. My daughter, she is MA in English literature, and she lives with her cardiologist husband at Bhubaneswar with her 2 glorious children. So now here, after doing 45 years in the profession of manufacturing pharmaceuticals, I retired and now totally relaxing, focusing on spirituality and literature, both. I was writing in Odia from my young days. I have got 2 collections, and since last 1 decade, I'm writing in English. One of my poetry book is under production. Today, I will tell you, I'll chant a poem based on imagination. Imagination is an activity which always helps each of us in living our life, in choosing our course of action, in making right choices. All those things need imagination, and imagination, focusing on imagination, this poem has been. Imagination often lands me on a platform where I sing songs with him and her, dance holding hands rhythmically with wind and sound. By transcending me completely into the plants, flowers, and rocks, the entire universe dances with me. Oh, yes, those imaginations bring so much joy, etheric joy, explosive, ecstatic joy that only I share with myself in absolute calmness, as if holding my granddaughters in my arms. She moves around me as Radha, standing apart, holds Krishna in soulful, tight hug. In sweet but plentiful imagination, those maverick sights I see dumbstruck, sitting within me, the sweet, enticing dance of Shiva and Parvati, the play of consciousness and manifestation. In flowing, gargling brooks, in twin bands, in twin birds rising high into the sky. Those guiding imaginations gradually takes me to the deep cave of meditation, where I witness esoteric union of love and sound, artless art and effortless effort. When a blue light merging in another, I lost my further realization, moving into a trance. With closed eyes, I view a simmering, complete dissolution. Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate you very much. And thanks for coming back. So, Eddie, you are up now, sir. If you would like to unmute yourself. And is it Eddie Gualvez? Okay. Yeah, it's still mute. It's still muted, but should ask Kathy the trick. This happens to you a lot, doesn't it, Kathy? Okay. So I think I'm going to skip you, Eddie. We'll come back to you in just a moment. So keep trying to unmute. Anita, if you would go next, that would be wonderful. If you can unmute yourself and let us see you, that would be wonderful. Anita? Okay, she may have stepped away. So next, I'm going to go to Joscephine Gomez. Can you unmute yourself, please? Thank
Good
you.
evening, everybody. Do you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, please tell us about you and
All
recite
right.
your first poem.
There are many things about me, but I'd like to limit them to 3 tonight so as not to overwhelm you. First, I'm a classical concert artist. I sing opera and classical music. I do concerts as a solo artist. I've been doing that since I was 28 years old. I didn't say how long. I said since I was 28. Anyway, and related to that, I studied vocology and vocal science more in-depthly. I attended ENT, a lot of ENT postgraduate courses, and continually attended the annual convention of the Philippine Society of Otorhinolaryngology Head and Neck Surgery. So I became very deeply involved in voice therapy and rehabilitation. So that's the second thing I'd like to tell you about. And then the third, I'm a visual artist. I paint. I paint flowers, trees, gardens, waterfalls, mountains, parks, fields, animals, and sometimes portraits. And of course, the Buddhas. I'm a Buddhist. So it's inevitable that I paint the Buddha and different types of Buddha images and pagodas, temples. So those 3 for the meantime. And this is my very first real poetry group in English. Yes, in English. Apart from my class and master's in creative writing, okay, that wasn't much of a group. It was a class. And we were not this united and this, in touch like we are almost daily. So I'm very happy being with this group. I've had some of my poems published, but I have never joined a poetry competition. So the weekly contests we have are very much, they're very good for me. They challenge me, and I'm very happy that even as a new member, I have won 3 awards. Thank you very much. Okay, I shall proceed with my first poem tonight. I'm myopic, so every now and then I will have to look down. I'll have to look down once in a while. The first poem is titled Compassion Rather Than Love. Love which gnaws at one's being and at its objects too, like a worm in the bud, it feeds, yearning to be filled. It can hurt its source and its objects too, when allowed to grow to excesses. in despair, it can kill him who bears it without caution. It can grow like a plant in abnormal proportion to its face or its soil. It can grow in the wrong direction, dwell in the wrong heart, or become weak in anticipation of its fulfillment. Love is premised on like. Love is seldom oblivious to appearance or conditions, which, when they change, love stops being love. Love has a beginning. It has an end. All things that begin and end are just like bubbles. They are not real. Bubbles are illusions. So is love. If a thing be modified, does its etymology change? If agape is unconditional love, isn't it still love premised on liking? Compassion without condition supplies a need. It knows no creed. It disregards greed. It is non-dual and non-conceptual. It seeks the highest good for all. Compassion knows no time nor place. It seeks no status, rank, nor race. Compassion sees no ugly face. It smiles and is easy to the chase. I'd rather speak of compassion, which is not premised on like. I'd rather practice compassion and make it my own life's mission.
Wow, that was really deep. That's what I can say about that. It was very deep. And you just started writing poetry recently?
I started writing poetry quite long ago, in fact, at the age of 7, but I have not been consistent. There were years when I wasn't writing. And then 2 years back, I think, that's when I started writing regularly again.
Okay.
Well, 1.5 years back.
Had that in common. So I was always a writer too, wrote very little until 2 years ago. So, but you can tell that you have that in you because you're deep in your writing. So
Thank you very much.
Marvelous, and thank you. So, and I don't want to put you on the spot, and I'll catch up with you later about some art and things like that. But if for some reason you want to at some point grace us with a song, we wouldn't object. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I have a lot. I have quite a number of concert recordings on YouTube. And you're free to go to YouTube. And I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And apart from those that you see immediately, I have another list under created playlists titled Josephine's Concerts. That's
please share that in our link that we have.
Yes,
so
the link. Yes, yes, I will do that as you say.
Yeah, we would love that. Thank you so much.
In this chat group or in our general Facebook page?
You can do it either place.
All right, with your permission, I'll do that then. Thank you very much.
Administrators might try to if you post it in the regular posting on the site, the Passion Poetry site, I would put in your narrative the posting per Annette's request.
Yes.
So they don't try to block it or something.
Yes, yes, because they might think, I'm using the page for self-promoting.
Yeah. And we do allow that up to 3 times a week. You can self-promote.
Oh, I see. So, I didn't know that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but we don't like people to come there just for self-promotion.
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm seriously there to become a better poet, learning from all of you.
We know that you're a part of our community. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, too.
I'm going to go back. Eddie, Mr. Gualvez, are you able to unmute yourself? We had somebody last session that could not unmute themselves the whole time. So I'm going to get back with you. Eddie, at any time, except for when somebody's actually reciting, if you become unmuted, go ahead and just voice that. Anita, are you there? Anita? No. Okay. So we're going to go to Shalina. Beautiful Shalina. Beautiful, lovely Shalina, who I always love seeing your
Thank
smile.
you, Annette.
So please introduce yourself and recite your poem.
Yeah, sure. I don't know, this is the first time I'm introducing like a poet here myself. So I hold a PhD in post-colonial literature and MPhil in English language teaching from University of Rajasthan, India. And I have done one course in advanced creative writing also from University of Oxford, USA, long back in 2017. I did it. I have progressive teaching experience of 16 years. I taught in India and Saudi Arabia and Libya and 3 countries. I participated in presenting papers in many countries and conferences and seminars, chaired various sessions. I presented my paper in USA, in Japan, and other countries also. And I have published various books, including language and literature also, and related to creative writing also. There are few books. Till now, there are 10 books. I will not be able to take the names of all. I would just like to take the names of few. Those are related to poetry. I wrote one book related to haiku poems. So that's the title of the book is Closing Haiku. Another one is Kinship with You. This I have in my hands right now. And there is one book, Till the End of Her Subsistence. That was the you can say the first effort of mine. And I had got published one book in Hindi also. I write in both languages, in my mother tongue Hindi also and English also. Many of my short stories and poems are published in various journals, and recently with you can say companionship of Annette only, I have started reciting my poems in canvas, national and international. So this is what I would like to tell about myself, and I'm working on one anthology also of many international poetry right now. And rest apart, I'm just teaching and writing some articles and participating in events. So today I'm going to recite one poem related to basically we can call them gifted people, or in another way we can call them disabled also. So related to them, there is a poem which I'm going to recite or read here today. Remainder without selfhood. So this is the title of my poem today. Restricted as disabled by everyone and identified as defamatory and slanderous. Autism, dwarfism, dyslexia, schizophrenia, criminality, child prodigy, transgender, and Down syndrome are given names by which our identity is befallen everywhere. Horizontal in opposition to vertical, as vertical are dealt as proper identities, and horizontal identities are blemished always, which are associated with flaws of us, from parental love to educational prejudice. Our emotional struggle is trivialized everywhere. Wherever somebody feels sparked off and tends toward perfectionism, and we exist with our perceptible defects, resolute not to be close to those folks who treat us as calamitous and tragic, want to embrace all the conditions, either these are difficult or the happy situations of life, with love and sense of selflessness, and to be entreated with reverence. We try to make strenuous efforts for equality to be given to us after harassed as incapable, remainder without selfhood. Finally, we got the freedom as insane after so many movements in the whole over the world, opposite to what is normal and sane, voices suppressed and hidden, and this is also an illusionary sovereignty which we never desired for. Thank you. So this is basically about people who are trying to create their identities and who are not you can say treated equally in the societies all over the world.
And thank you for giving those people a voice. So that was wonderful. I'm very glad you did that. I had a question about your book. You held it up for 2 seconds. I didn't see it. I just saw a glimpse of it, but I instantly thought, did Timothy Payton do your art at all on your any kind of artwork for your book? No.
No, Annette, I don't do artwork. I used to do in my childhood, but right now my daughter has taken this as in hereditary, and she is a painter. She paints well, and one of her painting got published in Dustin Pickering's magazine also last month.
Oh, wonderful! That's great. I could probably take a couple submissions from artists. Hint, hint from
Yeah,
two people.
sure. I would like to revive that talent again.
I could probably still add a couple of artwork to the anthology, just saying. So thank you for sharing that with us very much. Now, Manaz, no, I'm sorry, it's not you next. Eddie, are you still there? Is Eddie there? There you are down there. Did you ever, were you able to unmute yourself? Open the queue, raise your hand. I see that you've raised your hand, Eddie. Can you unmute yet? I still can't hear you. So Eddie, while we're trying to figure out your technical difficulty, sometimes going out of the, out and coming back in helps. That helps on occasion. If we can't get your audio, if you can't get it fixed, what one of the people did last time was they actually, the person who didn't get the audio fixed, posted their poetry into the chat section, because we get transcripts of that later. And if anybody else would like to post their poems in the chat section, that's fine as well. So Eddie, we'll come back to you. Anita, I noticed that we see your lovely face now. If you want to go ahead and tell us about Anita and recite your poem.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm just a beginner, and I'm very much nervous right now because it's my first ever open mic event, and I'm attending this. This is my first platform to explore my poetries here. So I'm just reciting my poem. The title of my poem is Know Your Worth. When life is too hard and you feel like sunk and died, when nothing seems to work and you spend nights with eyes open wide, when there is void inside and each day it deepens, silently scratching your soul, and the scars solemnly cried, when you feel lost between the thoughts and tears, there are shackles of grief. When you, I'm so sorry, I think, is there any network problem? Am I audible to you all?
Yes, you are now, but just pick up wherever you thought you left off. And
Yes,
and
yes.
you never need to worry. This is a judgment free zone. So you never need to worry about us judging. We're all good. You're amongst family.
Yes. When you feel lost between the thoughts and tears, there are shackles of grief amidst the swirling, wandering tide. When you found no rain and the rainbow being questioned in the heaven hidden inside, when 7 colors are dried, just believe in yourself and keep your faith high. After every dark night, there are days bright. Cherish all those moments bygone when you stood strong, and with your flickering fire, you always survived. Oh, beautiful butterfly, feel no more thirst. Your sorrows will be answered again. You will be dignified. No more drained and tired soul with unknown empty hurdles. When you know your own worth, your struggles are glorified. When you know your own worth, your struggles are glorified. Thank you, everyone.
That was marvelous. Lots of words of wisdom in there. And you don't have to tell me the answer to this question. It's entirely up to you. But I'm just curious how old you are, or how young you are, or whatever. How old are you?
Hello. Actually, there I'm in traveling and a little bit of network problem here.
How old are you? What's your age?
Yes, I'm 40 years old.
Ah, well, no wonder you have the wisdom. I was looking at your beautiful face thinking, oh, she's got to be like in her early 20s at the most.
Actually, ma'am, I have just restarted my career 11 years after my marriage. I have two kids.
Wow. Wow.
And
Well, I'm impressed not only by your words, but I'm impressed that you look so youthful. So you just need to
thank you so
you need
much.
to you need to ride that horse for as long as you can. So you look marvelous. And it's beautiful poetry. Lots of wisdom in it. Thank you so much for sharing. Eddie, I just thought if you want to try to if you want to go ahead and try to unmute yourself again. But one thing I did think about, Eddie, is if you put your poem and you can't unmute yourself, and you put your poem in there, I or someone else can read your poem. Whatever you'd like to do. Or you can try to go out and come back in again and see if your audio will work when you come back in. I'm guessing this isn't hooked up to, did you check your settings? I'm not sure. So we're going to skip you, Eddie. No offense. We'll come back to you again. And we're going to go to Faisal. Emon. If you could unmute yourself, and there you are, sir. And we see your face. Can you unmute?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay. Tell us about you and go ahead and recite your first poem. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's my really pleasure to be in touch with this such a lovely, lovely creativity focusing platform. This is what I can tell, because without creativity, I think no one can just improve himself or herself. So that is very important. On that basis, in fact, even I am just an entrepreneur in my country, concentrating on my just business. I try to be in touch with reading books as much as possible. So on that basis, I try to write from my heart as much as I can, listening to my peers, their objective attitudes towards life, which just attract me well. So in one sense, you may tell I'm a person to just learn as I move forward. So please allow me to recite one of my poems. I am reciting with your permission. The name of my poem is Ode to Love, or Love Hymn. Some sounds melodious as heard, as expected, mesmerized with images depicted, wishing to read your every move for a love bouquet of likes very functional to rest in your prestige packet. Die many daily to revive for your needs leaving no inch gap with my bone credential deeds. Love talks, sharing, I was your most handsome, all beauties, you claimed smiling beneath my feet. How miraculously my physique received your tone vitamins without food, home, books to connect you like gum, hence reproaching not knowing your cheat, my loving you is what luck me demeans. Defeat not existing in my hardship, you won definitely only to lose by betraying my tender heart to peep, to light of love, to
Yes.
immense friendship. As I strongly believe in love to cause, may I die grandeur in love to live.
That
Yes.
that was beautiful, and I know Addie that you're up, and I'll get with you in just a second. And that was a beautiful poetry. It's very nice. Thank you for sharing that with us, and it's a pleasure to listen to.
Yes, I have
Addie,
already sound.
yes. Did you figure out what was the problem? Did you figure out the problem?
Do you hear me, Mom?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you figured out what the problem was with your sound?
Okay. Is my sound is clear?
Yes. You may go ahead and tell us about you and go ahead and recite your first poem, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon to everyone. Along the universe. Hello. I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Eddie Gualvez, a doctor of Christian education. Presently, I am a training director and instructor of a certain security training academy. I have here one, before I start, I want to tell the title of my poem is about love. So my title is My Love Was in Vain. So I start my recitation to my piece of poem. I quit myself from loving you because you don't feel the way I do. To you I gave my love and share, but in return, it's so unfair. I finally found that I did was wrong. I did it because my feeling was so strong. But you don't feel the way I do. And so that's why I feel so blue. So if I fall in love again, I'll make sure it's true the love I can. Because if I'll find a lady who feels the same, I won't be playing these foolish games. Because to that person, I feel I put a guarantee that my love for her will be last forever. And that is a poem about love. Means that you get nothing in return for your love. It means that you give heart someone who did not care to have it, despite of everything, despite of your effort. In return, nothing. Thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you for very much. That was beautiful. Always love hearing love poems. Whether it's, you know, sometimes it has a lot of love and sometimes it has some other stuff in it. So a wide gamut of stuff. I live vicariously through my poetry, so Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. I'm going to mute you again because I know you just unmuted yourself. But what happens if I don't mute you is that when people are up talking, the camera will go to you instead of them. So we'll unmute you. And thanks for sharing. So glad that we finally got your audio up. And next we have, let me see. Vaishali Andraskar, you are up next if you're there.
Yes,
And
I'm
I'm
here.
going to take,
Good morning,
oh, thank
good
you.
evening. Yes.
You go ahead and talk about you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Annette. To introduce myself, I am basically from Pune, India, and I'm a teacher here. I have recently published my poetry book, Sunshine and Rainbows, and I'll be reading a poem. The title of the poem is Unexpected Bonds. Okay, so I'll be starting. People seek rhyme and reason. Some others are skeptical and they question. Rhyme eyes frown when we have fun like crazy. Maybe they wonder about our casual connection. No, they're not wrong in looking for some rash. Sometimes the immediate connection happens, though rare. I cherish such association, and I feel that they are destined for unexpected bonds are best and beyond.
Okay. Are you still there? So the recitation was broken up and we didn't hear probably
Yes, I
the
guess I
back.
lost a network.
Yeah, it was a bad connection. I think we probably missed the majority of your poem. If you could post your poem under comments so we can read it, that would be great. But I think everybody's in the same boat as me. They probably didn't get. I heard the first part of it, but then we lost you kind of mostly throughout the poem. I guess the connection is bad. But if you could please post it under comments, that would be great. If the next time you recite and we have a good connection, you can re-recite that one, okay? So next, I'm going to go to.
Well, okay. Yes, thank you.
Did you want to try and do it now? I just thought if we waited, perhaps the connection might be better. You're welcome to try it now if you wish. It's entirely up to you. What would you like to do? Would you like to retry it now?
Yes, if you would allow, then definitely yes. May I?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. I hope you're able to hear me clearly, every one of you. I've kept my video off for the sake of network. Well, I'll just try it once again. Some people seek rhyme and reason. Some others skeptical and they question. Prying eyes frown when we have fun like crazy. Maybe they wonder about our casual connection. No, they are not wrong in looking for some rational and a common ground for our bonding and equation. But I'm happy that some friendships are pure and honest and not based merely on return and expectation. It's not for how long we have known each other, but sometimes the immediate connection happens, though rare. I cherish such association and feel they are destined. For me, unexpected bonds are the best and beyond compare. I hope it was clear.
Yes, that worked that time. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you so much.
reciting
Thank
it
you
for
so
us.
much for the
So it worked out well
opportunity.
that time. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
I had somebody else on the list, but I think they signed on earlier and never came back. So that was I Spell. Has anybody seen that name up here at all? He was on real briefly and then
Sorry,
gone.
sorry, Annette. Actually, I had joined with iSpell name earlier. Then I changed with my email.
Oh, you're I Spell. Okay.
Yes. Actually, both email addresses are there in my laptop. So when I clicked on link, so it connected me with iSpell.
You could have not even told us and just not had a visual of the other and just went twice. We would have never known.
Yes, I saw and then I quickly ended and then again joined with my own.
Okay, well, thank you. All right. So next we have Jill Sharon Kimmelman, a dear friend. If you would please unmute yourself and introduce yourself. And say what a wonderful friend I am. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, introduce yourself. Tell us about you, Jill, and please recite your lovely poem. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Annette's right. I am going to honor her first. So if for any reason we get cut off, I'm covered. So this poem, oh, by the way, I live in Delaware in the United States of America. Many of you I don't know. However, many of you I do, and it is a great joy to see so many of my familiar faces, brothers and sisters in poetry. The first poem I'm going to share is from my book called You Are the Poem. And this one is the last poem that made it into my final manuscript. And it is one of 3 poems written for my dear sister friend, Annette Tarpley. It is called Contemplation of a Phoenix in Flight for Annette. On wings of doves you begin. In freedom you have found an extraordinary voice. Celebration of your journey's path forward. In tranquility your words returned. A whisper within your heart, first denied. Incessant gentle nudges avoided, until you could no more deny those words their impassioned pleas, then you could stop your heart from beating, your lungs from breathing, your pen from bleeding. Awaited, welcomed, their invitation accepted. Sonnets and stanzas crafted. Your declaration drafted in tears, haunted by fears. Now an affirmation of strangers. Like the lotus, your greatest gifts grew greater in the ooze of mud. Celebrate freedom earned, lessons learned. A magnificent phoenix, plumes of every hue. Grandest of dreams, now yours to pursue. A vibrant blossom ablaze, fiery gems, your magical words. A beautiful phoenix soaring, tall, strong, proud, no doubts at all, most magnificent of birds, most beautiful of all. Thank you, Annette, for allowing me to share my gift.
Thank you for giving me the gift many times. So I thank you, my friend. Beautiful as always touches my heart. I'm always humbled whenever anybody writes a poem about me. So love you, girl. All right, and glad that you joined us, even though I can't. We can see your face, Jill. You got a picture up there. You're in glasses today, so.
It's an old picture, different sunglasses. I would like to explain that I was fully ready for this event. I would never blow off an event. However, I took a very bad fall, and it's been 2 days. And when I looked in the mirror, I realized the only thing I was good for, as my beloved dad would say, is haunting houses. So I did not want to scare any of you. And yes, I am safe. I was not abused. I simply took a bad fall. So for those of you who know me, you know that my husband has been in the hospital and had surgery on Monday. So there's no way I'm a battered spouse. I'm a beloved spouse. I wish you all the happiness that I share. And I won't take up another word. It's lovely to see you all.
And I'm going to publicly scold you, so in the future you won't do it. Your friend, it happened 2 days ago, and your friend didn't know about it, did I? So we'll talk about it later, but you need to shove it in my face next time. Worried about you.
I love you.
All right. All right. Talk to you later. And so I think it.
Annette, you're muted.
Annette, you are muted.
I'm sorry. Did I not teach you all how to read my lips? Forgive me. I apologize. I said I'm going to go ahead and read. I think we went through everyone. I was in the parking lot yesterday of somewhere, and my car is black and covered in pollen. And I said to the lady next to me who was getting to her car, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I ask you a question?" She said, "What?" And I said, "Do you know who attacked my car with pollen?" And she said, "No." I thought it was kind of cute, but no one's getting the humor. So here we go. So I'm going to preface this poem. I keep doing this poem over and over again because it's one of my new ones. It's on YouTube. If you go see it on YouTube, please leave a comment and please share. But it's one that's near and dear to my heart. I saw a patient 3 weeks ago in a facility where almost everybody's on ventilators. Some of them aren't aware of anything. This lady is. Every time I go see her, I read her a poem. She's very happy with that. And every time I go see her, her eyes just glow, and she has this beautiful smile. And so I read her a poem, and she got tears in her eyes, and she's trying to mouth something to me, but she can mouth words, but there's nothing audible. And she was mouthing something, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying. And finally, she said, "Will you remember me?" And when she said, "Will you remember me?" I said, "Yes, I will always remember you." I said, sometimes we meet people in our lives and we see them just one time and they somehow touch us and we remember them throughout our lives. And the next time I come, I'll write a poem and I'll have it for you. So this was actually made into a video. It's called "Will You Remember Me?" Once I was vibrant and full of life. A bold and strong woman was I. Youth and energy had enveloped my spirit, invincible and spry. No constraints to what I could do, only limited by my mind. Of a tough stock I was made, but I was gentle and I was kind. Will you remember me when I'm gone? Will you remember my smile? Will you remember the dance of my eyes, knowing me was worthwhile? Now I am older, my hair is gray and has lost its luster and sheen. Wrong choice, excuse me. I still feel young at heart. I'm really not as old as I seem. My mind is clear as I think what impact I have made. Wrong choices I once chose. Tears lined the path I paved. Will you remember me when I'm old? Or gone, will you remember my smile? Will you remember the dance of my eyes, knowing me was worthwhile? I miss you, my friend. No, you are gone. Your spirit is at rest. I miss your laugh. I miss your voice. Your smile was always best. An impression you made within my soul, kindred spirits from the start. I felt your angelic spirit ascend when from this earth you did depart. I will remember you, my friend. Dazzle the stars with your smile. Glow of the moon dances in your eyes, knowing you was worthwhile. So that is for my friend. And we are going to start over again and appreciate all of you. We are going to start with, I have Kathy Jo Bryant, who may not be singing for us today. Hint, hint, or take it away, Kathy.
Okay, Annette. This next one is one that I wrote not too long ago. I like prompts a lot because it inspires me to think of all the ways that I can express what I see. And this one I named Life with Lemons. Do you like life with lemons? Maybe there's pros and cons, friend. Maybe you just detest them, or maybe you're in love with them. Shades of yellow are lovely, and lemon zest tastes good. It might be a little spicy, but it tastes the way it should. You might bake a lemon pie and heat the meringue up high, or make a pitcher of lemonade and sip or guzzle it in the shade. Lemons can sometimes be so sour. Trials come and drain you of your power. Sometimes lemons show up in life. Your lips just pucker and you cringe with strife. Just sing a song of consolation. It will bring you much elation. Find a friend and make them laugh, maybe even your whole work staff. Welcome the lemons then each mile and show sweetness with your smile. Others then will catch the drift. It just might even give them a lift.
Thank you, Kathy. That was lighthearted. Loved it. Thank you very much. You always, I love your poems and your limericks and everything. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And congratulations on both of your books. My first children's book comes out next month. So I'm going to go to Gopal. You are next, Gopal. And if you would please recite your second poem, sir.
So I am here again with my second poem. Its caption is I am not a poet. The caption is I am not a poet. So here I begin. I am not a poet, I don't write. I am not a poet, I don't write. It is written by me. I am not a poet, I don't write. It is written by me as if in a trance or by chance. As if in a chance or by as if in a trance or by chance, thoughts crop up in my mind. Thoughts crop up in my mind, some terse, usually kind. sumpters, usually kind. Pouring like words, flying like birds in the paper sky. Pouring like words, flying like birds in the paper sky. What do they carry? What do they carry? Where do they fly? I don't know. What do they carry? Where do they fly? I don't know. Where from? To or why? Where from? To or why? I find them interesting. I find them interesting, sometimes just wanderings, still amusing, not frustrating. Still amusing, not frustrating. That is how it comes to you. That is how it comes to you, ignored by many, liked by a few. Ignored by many, liked by a few. Whatever I see and feel, whatever I see and feel, try to put down and narrate. Try to put down and narrate. What I say is not deliberate. What I say is not deliberate, neither subtle nor adequate. Neither subtle nor adequate. One may not appreciate. One may not appreciate. Judge me not immediate. Judge me not immediate. Sometimes I reflect. Sometimes I reflect, is it a subconscious attempt? Is it a subconscious attempt? Everyone's pain from anywhere and mine to equate. And mine to equate. I often feel I fail. I often feel I fail to express, impress, entail. I often feel I fail to express, impress, entail, ability, sensibility, inadequate. Ability, sensibility, inadequate. I don't see myself. I don't see myself as a poet. I don't see myself as a poet. Namaskar.
All right, thank you very much. But you are a poet, so there you go. So it was interesting because I was thought I wrote one with the same title, similar. I am not a poet. This is not a poem or something. I think it was something about this is not a poem. Thank you for sharing that with us. And you are a poet, and thank you for gracing us with your wonderful works. Dona McCormack, you are next, darling. If you would please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Annette. Okay, so just really quick before I read this one, this piece, and if we get to a third piece, my third piece are both from my upcoming book, which should be released in 2023, called Love Bites, which will be my first collection of poetry, which is a collection of love poems, which will be, as Annette referred earlier, both the good parts of love and also the other stuff. Which is like the not so good parts of love, because there's all that stuff in love. So this piece is called A Little Fire, which kind of honors both. A little fire. A little fire is quickly trodden out, which being suffered, rivers cannot quench. William Shakespeare, Henry VIII. I know smoke when I smell it. Alarms ring along my spine when I sense acrid bits of past life floating in thin, choking air. Hammers hit bells the day I met you. I should have stamped you right out. I know smoke when I smell it, but you linger like incense and opium, until every inch of my scorched earth sprouts with saplings. Thank you.
That was great. Loved it, loved it, loved it.
Thank you, Annette.
Makes me want to recite my poem later. I don't know if I should, but thank you very much. It's beautiful. Loved it.
You should recite it. I want to hear it now.
Well, it's an important poem, so I might do that, but I have recited a few times. So I will do it. It's what got me into poetry. I'll wait till everybody else is done. And thank you, Dona. You're a wonderful asset. I appreciate your joining just to be part of us. So next we have Manes. I have you down as a wrong vowel on here. If you want to unmute yourself, sir, and please grace us with your works.
Is it for me, Annette?
Yes, sir, it is.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Before singing the second poem, I would like to say that poetry are the expressions of the heart and also the story of life. Story of life in the sense by seeing friends, story of a father, story of a mother, story of brothers, the story of a daughter for a father, or story of a father of a daughter. In that way, this is the story of a daughter by a father before 3 years. The caption of the poem is Autumn Leaf. When no one around, she cries, seeing the unfurling abnormalities in the world she was pushed into, but stops crying when encounters me. Like an autumn leaf hanging on the tree about to fall, she helplessly watches a world she had never seen in wondering awe and heartful eyes. Life is an astounding teacher. It leaves a scar. Every now and then, one wonders why the sun is so rude, why the sun is so rude, and why the rains pour so much, affecting only a portion of the earth. In her dreams, she saw the trees with its amazingly beautiful leaves, their colors sing songs of boundless love, keeping her gazing all the while. Its changing, melancholic changes affects life so powerfully. Looking at the sky, the autumn leaf, my little girl, grew up as a vivacious autumn tree, trembling with vibrations of life, searching divine love, making all timid before her truthfulness, honest powers of decisiveness. Praying, Lord, to make me disappear from the world, fire of world judgments, and hold her in my lap with love, with compassion, and with pride, before the mist invokes it to fall like an autumn leaf. Thank you.
That was beautiful. I'm sure you read. Was it? Thank you for reciting. That was wonderful. I appreciate it. It was a beautiful poem. And I love the title too. So, Eddie, actually chronologically, you would be up next. Are you? I'm just gonna go. I'm getting out of order, so forgive me. I'm just going down the list as it first was. So, Eddie, if you could recite next, please, sir.
I think you have to unmute him, Annette.
I have no way to unmute him, but I had to mute him in order to not have him appear.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, can you unmute yourself? Unmute yourself when you can. We're going to go to the next person on my original list, which is Anita. You still here, Anita? If you could recite, please. Anita. Okay. So, After Anita, we're going to go to Faisal. Faisal left. I think she had to go. So she's gone. And next we have Joscephine. If you could, you haven't left yet, have you, Joscephine? There you are. Go ahead and unmute yourself when you get a chance.
There you are. Excuse me, I went to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. So go ahead and recite your second poem for us, please.
Okay. Oh, before that, I'd like to let you know something. My normal voice is not back yet. I had thyroid surgery a little over 2 months ago. Yes, major surgery. So my real voice has not come back yet. I can't hear you. You're muted.
He said it's lovely nonetheless. So we will.
Thank you very much.
You.
All right. My next poem is titled, Are You Really Happy? You took off on a flight unknown, with a smile on your face I wish was true. Or have you mastered the art of hiding pain and pretending all is well? Sad but well? Your voice echoes in my memory, distant yet near and clear. Did I teach you sadness? Did I plant fear? Your flight was a success, your escape, your fulfillment. But is it? I hear the beating of your heart from afar, fortissimo but largo. For how can it beat a tempo as the beautiful music it knew when I was there, when my breath was clear to your ear, when every sparkle from my eyes spelled the difference between your loneliness and your joy? While you wait for heaven knows what, while reminiscing past joys you threw into the sea. I'm sorry. Let me repeat that the start of the stanza. While you wait for heaven knows what, while reminiscing past joys you threw into the sea of abandoned memory as you journey through forced, repressed, painful feelings. How are you really? Are you not lying to yourself? Haven't you thought yourself a coward? Hasn't life taught you one is better hurt loving than avoiding pain? Look, see, think, dwell in nothingness. See reality as it is, not how you think it to be.
That was marvelous. Marvelous. Thank you. You do beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of POP. And thank you for joining us today. That's wonderful. Next, I think Vaishali has left us. So we can't go to her. I hate that. She has such beautiful poetry. So next, Miss Yadav.
Yes.
You are up. Thank you.
One adolescent's desire of my heart. I would like to recite here as a second poem. Yesterday night, I picked up pen and paper, went all out to collect and gather. As I went in flashback to inside, moreover to lay down truth and love.
Shalini, I'm sorry. I do not mean to interrupt you, but otherwise it's going to be interrupted. Eddie has finally got his
Yes.
microphone undone,
Okay.
and the only reason why
Go ahead, my
I'm
boy.
having him go first because I'm going to mute him afterwards. I'm afraid we won't be able to unmute him again because when you're talking, his is coming through, and we're not going to see you. So if you would hold up for just a second and then start from the
No
beginning.
issue. No issue.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. I
Let
didn't mean
me
to
finish.
to interrupt you. Eddie, if you would go and
Okay.
recite. Okay,
Is
thank
my
you.
voice heard? Do I
Yes.
hear? Okay. I will start my second piece entitled Safety in the Law of God. Can I start? Okay. So the title of this next piece is about the law of God. So this is why I start. I hate those who are not completely loyal to you because I love your law for me to follow. But you are my defender and my life protector. I put my hope what you have promised of it. I rebuke sinful people to go away from me and leave me. I ought to obey. I ought to obey you rather than human authority. Give me strength and wisdom. You promise that I shall live. Don't let disappointment defeat on me and me the nature of relationship. Behold your promise for my safety and security. And from now on, keep me on to your guidance and command. You reject everyone who disobey your laws. Their deceitful scheme and bases are useless. You treat all the rubbish, gave it your instructions, and I do it to love. Because of you, I am afraid. I am filled with fear because of you, of your law of judgment. Thank you. And this is for our guidance.
Thank you.
As your advisor.
Very powerful poem and recitation. So very good. Where are you located? Are you in the Philippines? No. Where do you live?
I'm from the Philippines.
Okay. One thing I've noticed about Filipino poets is you all have so much passion when you read. So
I'm sorry because the signal here is very poor.
well, we heard you, so it's all good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Love it. Thank you very much. I'm going to mute you again. I know that's dangerous, but
Thank you.
and Shalina, if you can just take over, darling, and recite from the beginning. And I'm so sorry to have interrupted you.
It's okay, there's no problem. I would like to recite my poem, One Adorable Desire of My Heart. Yesterday night, I took a pen and paper, went all out to recollect and gather. As I went in flashback to insight, moreover to lay down truth in light, which he could never discover. As he had been a schoolmate, initially not too intimate, we fought on each petty affair, and why did not we just be fair? That he could never discover. Abruptly, I began to feel so profound, and emotions took a long bound, initiating from forward to crush. What kind of touching rush? But he could never discover. His smile made me feel weak. Clashes ended my tears to leak. Friends used to call me strong, but I guess they were wrong. But he could never discover. Being feeble, I gazed at his movements, but discreeted to put across my sentiments. As he could put any girl under his spell, I sensed that I will not be able to tell, that he could never discover. I loved how handsome and benign was he, how passionate his persona made me. caused to flow emotions in violent aquatic. Day by day, I became more pathetic, which he could never discover. Then school got over, we parted since. I wish I could have kissed him once. One adolescent's desire of my heart, concealed from that sweetheart, which he could never discover. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Well worth the wait. So sorry I interrupted you before, but I appreciate your being so gracious. Beautiful poetry. And next, Anita, are you there? Are you there, Anita? Okay, so we're going to
I
go
think
for.
Anita has left.
There you are, Anita. All right, thank you.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
it's
a little bit of network problem is here. That's why again and again I'm just so sorry for that. Uh, okay, my next poem is this is my it was my first poem uh, after I have restarted my career and restarted writing the poem after 10 years. So after 10 years, it was my first poem, which I'm going to recite now. Um, O yearning heart, O craving soul, thou art the queen of earth, God's bride. Thou should not forget thee. Thou art not the part, but the universe as a whole. The divine shine falling upon thy power to bless. Nothing can dimmer thy illumined wings. O pious spirit, in thee thy world exists. The glory of the sun, showering strength to thy pride. Even the shadow of thee, glittering in the dark along thy side. O perpetual soul, trust the fire within. The day, the hour, the minute, the blink. If thou ever feel like winter is veneering the spring, fear not, open thy mind, and dare to pour thy soul out in tears. Forget not, thou hast an iron heart. Let not the pain rest within. O my inner voice, rejoice. Do not find the sea outside, for thou hast thy own ocean, blue, deep, and wide. Thank you.
That was beautiful. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. And I believe, I think we went through everybody except for Jill, Sharon, Kimmelman. If you would like to mute and share with us, please, dear.
I have a poem that is the most deeply personal poem I have ever written. And a long time ago, I stopped asking anyone to guide me. But in this case, I could not be objective. So this poem is a love letter to my dad, who passed away when I was barely 18 years old. My dad was 41. The picture of us dancing you can see in the iBook or ebook version, and you can also see it in my paperback. This poem is called For Jack from Your Jill. My dad's name was Jack. He named me Jill. Our bond for the first 18 years of my life was as precious to me as anything could ever be. And I've chosen to read this today because tomorrow he would have been 84 years old. And I have lived with him inside my heart every moment of every day for 42 years. So this is for you, Dad. For Jack from your Jill. You live inside my heart. Whisper sage wisdom every day. My imagination soars as never before, spiraling beyond all earthbound dreams. You longed for my happiness, for your daughter's sweet smile to return, your compass, a father's pride, to find the perfect man, to learn who I am, adore me, worship me, as you did me in turn. Somehow you knew just how it would unfold. From love-driven desire, you envisioned it all, where the dance would lead us, how the chips would fall. This tale of love unveiled itself just as you foretold. First, you had to find him, not an easy task. Then to understand his journey, anticipate the questions only you knew I would ask. Education, profession, each met your highest bar, yet gave no hint of challenges ahead. Would he make your dreams his own, make me his shining star? Surely you had doubts. He had to be a man of honor, my kindred spirit. What exactly was this guy all about? A man of the backwoods, his camera never far, images of forest paths, midnight starry skies. You searched deep within his soul, sought to embrace the lamentation of his plaintive cries. His heart was but a satchel for his unheard pleas, along with prayers, plans, schemes. Hope lived on. It flourished, emboldened by his dreams. Living each day within love's tapestry, basking in its golden glow, like fine wine, a love enriched by age, as Yeats' poems, each more beautiful when we turn the page. We are pieces on life's board of chess, each move an answered prayer, delivery of dreams. Once I was your very own princess. Now I am his newly crowned queen. You would love him, Dad. Be proud to call him son. His love is true. He treasures me like the rare gem you always say I am. Though we cannot, if only we could, never go back. What an extraordinary gift it has been to be the Jill to your Jack. When my time is nigh, I know I will not be alone, for you will be there waiting, arms open wide to embrace me, reclaim me, joyously welcome me home. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Dad. Thank you, Jill. I know that's hard. Jill and I have initially bonded over the dad thing, and we have a common. So tomorrow would be her father's birthday, May 23rd, and tomorrow is the anniversary of my father's death, who she lost her father when she was 18, and I lost my father when I was 17. So your father must have been young too. Mine was 37.
My
Okay.
dad was 41, and I apologize for crying.
No, that's what we write, isn't it? So yeah. So yeah, in homage to her, I did one for my father earlier. I don't know if I can do it again, but maybe if I do this one, I'll do Broken Dreams. Thank you, Jill. I honor your phone.
You're welcome, Annette. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us that piece of Jill. And Jack. So I'm going to close off, and then we'll say our goodbyes with the poem that got me into poetry. So my first book is called Broken Dreams, and I was going through my divorce 4 or 5 years ago. I wrote this. It's 3 minutes long. I knew it by heart. It was my therapy. I said it on the way back and forth from home when I traveled. I had over an hour drive. So I have my ex to thank. Thank you, ex, for getting me into poetry. And I would recite this for people, and they'd say, "Oh, you need to get that published." And finally, I did get it published. So it goes through the good, the bad, and I'm strong in the end. And I had this out because I used to know by heart, and sometimes I fumble now because I don't say it so much. A love that flourished so fresh and new, a man who promised to be loyal and true. My heart I gave you to hold and to keep, arms that once held me as I went to sleep, lips that merged, holding steadfast at night. The morning then dawned and the sun grew bright. You promised me you would love me for a lifetime, you said, our vows now spoken with a life together ahead. The love in the marriage was so wonderful and bliss, but soon I realized something was amiss. You grew so cold, and your touch I no longer felt, and a love once true soon began to melt. A flame that burned so hot and true was now growing dimmer, it no longer grew. My heart you held once near your own, the house where we live is no longer a home. Soon I watched as you grew distant and cold, and wondered, will we be together as we grow old? Promises once spoken, love whispered in my ear. Come a bit closer and let me make this clear. You are no longer a man I yearn for. You're not a man one should love and adore. True love and respect were never part of the game, and once I realized this, things were never the same. A man of honor, integrity, truth you claimed to be. But then your true colors showed through. I began to see. None of these things ever were you. It was a picture you painted and a fairy tale you drew. The love and the marriage can no longer be saved. Love and time, these things you no longer gave. The marriage was a sham, and I could no longer see the man who once loved me was to no longer be. My beauty, you indicated, was a passing thing after promising me forever and always with the ring. That is pretty, you said? That is me? How superficial and shallow can you really be? It's the exterior you look at, not the person within, and then say goodbye to us as you widen your grin. Through the years, you methodically tried to lessen my worth, but I'm so very strong, and I'm giving birth to the me that I lost who once walked this earth. A new me it will be that I soon will unleash, a woman whose inadequate self-esteem will now cease. Never again will I allow another man who dictates, another man who withdraws affection or alienates. I will no longer mourn that man I thought you to be, for you're never that man, this now I see. A strong woman I am, with beauty and grace, a woman who loves and looks beyond the face. Never again will I allow another man to define the wonderful person I am am who's faithful, true, and kind. Ideals, they once existed. They turned to broken dreams. A life appeared shattered, but is not what it seems. I go forth with confidence in the midst of new dreams. Dreams full of happiness, life that starts anew, embracing each day and following it through, to live my life as I wish from now on, the key factor being that you are now gone. So there's that. All right. My therapy for the year. I won't need to say it all year long. I used to say it every day, probably a few times a day. But all right. So I just want you all to know that I should have ended on a positive note. That was not a positive note. So, but the positive note is that I'm very thankful that you're all here and that we could share our poetry and our words and appreciate each other. And I do appreciate all of you and very much hope to see you in future open mics. Well, remember when I do announce them, they go really quick. Usually just in a few hours, it's full up. So, but thank you so much. Unmic yourselves and say goodbye to everyone. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. It was so nice to meet you all. I loved everyone's work.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
nice
all
day
very
with
much.
you, everyone.
All right. Love and blessings to
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
God bless you
Thank you for
all.
the opportunity, Annette.
Josephine, I hope your throat feels better soon.
I'm sorry.
I hope your throat feels better soon.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Love and blessings, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Good night from the Philippines, and have a nice day there in the U.S. and in other parts of the world.
Thank you. All right. Bye, y'all. Take care.
Left.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.